Today's video is the beginning of a yet-to-be-named series in which I take popular celebrities, politicians, pop culture icons, and break down their style. And who better to start with than one of the most polarizing figures in this, the beginning of 2016? I'm talking about Donald Trump. From real estate mogul to media tycoon to presidential candidate to who knows what's next. Trump has one of the most recognizable aesthetics and appearances of any candidate in either party. And I'm going to show you how his appearance actually contributes to him being such a polarizing figure. Whether you love him or hate him, both Trump and his appearance are larger than life. And he uses that to his advantage to not only gain momentum in the polls, but to gain as much airtime as he possibly can. So let's start with the basics and work our way up. While he did dabble in lighter shades and subtle patterns in the 70s and the 80s, Trump's mainstay for decades has been solid suits. He typically sticks with darker colors, navy, charcoal, black, and really the purpose that these serve is to function as a canvas. They're just there to provide backup for the rest of his appearance. The fit is a throwback to the larger boxy cuts of a few decades ago, and is the perfect way for Trump to not only indicate his age, but also what his aesthetic high point was. Trump was born on the front end of the baby boom, 1946, and he represents their whole appearance perfectly. He hails from a time and a generation in which a suit didn't represent refinement or class. It was more of a symbol of things like corporate greed and overt systemic oppression. Baby boomers have always aspired to be so successful that they didn't need suits, not that they got to wear nicer ones. Whether he believes the story that's being told or not, he basically wears one of these suits as a tribal indicator to the baby boomer generation. What it's saying is, I don't want to wear one of these. I know you don't want to wear one of these. If I have to, it might as well be as comfortable as possible. Up next is the issue of Trump's ties. Any feminist gender theorist and one of her many, many cats will be more than happy to lecture for hours on end about how a tie is a phallic symbol of male oppression. And while most white-collar men don't see their neckwear as a sartorial expression of their manhood, or lack thereof, I think Trump knows exactly what he's doing with this thing. His ties always fall well below the waistline of his pants. Now, if this had just happened once or twice, we could chalk it up to being an accident, but it is as precise as if he had had a valet. Visually, this lengthens the legs and shortens the torso, but it also extends the connection between his face and his manhood. In layman's terms, it looks like he's swinging a big one around. But it's not just the length of the ties that make it interesting, it's also the color and the pattern, or lack thereof. Trump almost always wears solids. And not just solids, the most intense, color-saturated solids available. The extreme contrast between a dark suit, white shirt, and these electric ties is both eye-catching and very indicative of the fact that Trump is comfortable being at the center of attention. But his clothing isn't the only variable Trump uses to assert his identity. Next up is his tan. Those on the far left would claim his tan is an excellent way of asserting his white superiority. I don't know about that, nor do I really care. Could it be a way to identify with the female voters? Does it work as a contrast to the too big suit and his everyman appearance? Is he secretly signaling his understanding of the power of vitamin D? I don't know. What I do know is that a man who spends that much time in front of a camera doesn't just rock the orange glow because he likes it. He knows that it's going to get your attention, and he plans on using your attention to accomplish his goals. Before we move on to the final, most obvious aspect of Trump's appearance, I want to talk a little bit about his merchandising. Set his Macy's collaboration and his own clothing line aside, the real aesthetic key to Trump's campaign is the Make America Great Again hat. Symbolic, patriotic, and uniquely populist. You see, this thing is a trucker hat, and a trucker hat is about as blue-collar, middle America as any article of clothing can ever get. Wikipedia tells us that another name for the trucker hat is a gimme, because it basically originated as a giveaway at events that were centered around rural activities, truckers, ranchers, farmers, these types of men. By having this little cap as his mainstay campaigning piece, he is being hyper-focused on his primary demographic, and that is working class Americans, those who live in flyover states, who feel so disenchanted with the Republican nominees of the past few elections that they've basically chosen to vote by just not showing up or voting at all. Rather than trying to chase after the minority vote or single women, Trump is basically going after working class America, the guys who feel no identity or no affiliation with things like Hollywood or DC, New York, Wall Street, and it's actually working out pretty well for him. Which brings us to our final piece, the one that's actually been accused of being a piece, Trump's hair. Whether it's a holdover from better days in the 70s and 80s, maybe an attempt to hide 1 or 3 receding hairlines, or it's something that's just bad for the sake of being bad, Trump's hair is another great example of something that's intentional just because it gets your attention. There has been more ink spilt over this one haircut than nearly any other item in the 2016 presidential race. Doing a quick Google search leads to the obvious articles from obvious sites, cue BuzzFeed and Salon.com, but even more reputable publications have had a piece or two on the power of Trump's hair. I mean, time? Come on. And that's where the true strength of Trump's overall appearance is. He understands that in order to get elected, he needs to have the appearance of a supervillain or a superhero, because in the end, nobody's going to vote for somebody who looks like they just met him down at the bar. Just ask Jeb. The worst thing a man in Trump's position can do is appear to be average. The more people hate him, the stronger his support gets. The more things go to one extreme, then the more they go to the other. And Trump is a man who lives in the extremes. So set politics aside. Trump may be the next Hitler. He may be America's savior. Whatever it is he ends up being, he's a man who knows how to use appearance to his advantage. Do I like the way he looks? Absolutely not. And that's the point. Trump understands that a negative reaction is not quite as good as a positive reaction, but both of those completely outweigh no reaction at all. Because all that time spent talking about his hair, his suit, his ties, his tan, it's all time that could be spent talking about the other candidates. Trump's breakdown, 78% rakish, 22% refined, no rugged. So if you want an idea of what these breakdowns are like and you want to know where you fall in the rugged, refined, or rakish category, hit this link here below. It's going to take you to a quiz and help you know. Because once you figure out where you fall within these 3 different masculine style archetypes, you'll be able to start using your appearance to your advantage just like Trump does.